Welcome one and all to the PooderooPlays Kingdom Hearts series. Here we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the franchise in a multi-part collection spanning every installment. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the truly fascinating universe of Kingdom Hearts.
So the next one we're going to unpack is 358 over 2 days. Fun fact, originally developed for the Nintendo DS before being remastered as a movie, this game takes place during the events of 1.5 and 358. It tracks the movements of Roxas from just after he was created when Sora ripped his heart from his own body, up until when he rejoins Sora in his sleeping pod in Kingdom Hearts 2.5. So upon being born, Roxas is met by a man in a strange hood, who bequeaths him his new name. You literally see it. I've probably put this clip in the video anyway, but here it is again. Bah! This strange man bade him Roxas and made him come with him. We later discover as Xemnas, the leader of a group of special nobodies called Organization 13. And Xemnas is the guy in the hood you fight at the end of Kingdom 1 Hearts 5. Kingdom Hearts 1.5. This guy. You fight him. So Roxas was meant to be the 13th member of Organization 13. He was meant to be the direct link to Sora in case the plan to manipulate his memories failed, which it did, as we saw in Chain of Memories. Roxas was their backup, and they basically just wanted a Keyblade wielder they could control. While Naminé is trying to control Sora, Roxas is doing his training at the main HQ in a place called the World That Never Was. So the reason why they want a Keyblade Master is so that they can gather hearts to build their own Kingdom Hearts, so that one day they can get hearts, even though they're nobodies, not heartless, but they're still without hearts. Make it make sense. Nobodies themselves are without hearts. They're the bodies, even though they're called nobodies. They're without the part of the heart that makes you who you are. They are without that. They're technically without personalities, but we can see that's not true. They are without the drive that having a heart gives you. It's really hard to explain what nobodies are.
According to Google, they are simply the shell left after a person becomes a heartless.
They don't technically exist. They want hearts to become real again. Soon after his initial assignments, Roxas is placed in the care of Axel. And Axel kind of takes him under his wing and is like, hey, look, I know you're a zombie at the moment, but I'll take you to go get some sea salt ice cream. And Roxas is like, why? And Axel's like, just trust me. So they start spending, at the end of every day, at the top of the tower in Twilight Town, eating sea salt ice cream. And it's actually one of my favourite visuals from the whole franchise. We've all done stuff like that, you know? We've all sat with our friends in a park, sharing a drink, or just sitting, picking at the grass, just chilling. It's literally just chilling with their ice cream. Not being chilling, but they're still chilling with some ice cream. That's how they spend the evening after each day working. A 14th member of the organization shows up. Her name is Shion, and she appears to be a girl with short black hair. She has a faltering ability to use a Keyblade. She can use it, she can wield it, she can't summon her own, which is part of a Keyblade user's training. She is then paired with Roxas, because, you know, he's a Keyblade wielder, and he's trying to teach her how to wield her own Keyblade. And it's not going well for a couple weeks. So Roxas eventually just says, hey, look, borrow mine, and we can pretend that you did this all yourself. Then the nobodies are reassigned to Castle Oblivion, and Axel goes with them. So like Loxine, Vexen, Lexius, Zexion, Axel, and Marluxia, they were all sent to Castle Oblivion. And we know what happens there. We know how that goes down. Soon after, Roxas falls into a coma, because that is the moment in Chain of Memories when Sora is put to sleep. Chain of Memories happens, then he awakens weeks later to discover that all those members who went to Castle Oblivion are dead. apart from Axel. Roxas, Shion, and Axel start hanging out and doing the seesaw ice cream thing every day. He is dreaming Sora's memories as they're being put back together by Namine, because he's Sora's nobody. Obviously, he doesn't know this. Roxas begins to question who he was, because he hasn't had any memory of it up until then. And he's like, who the f*** is this Sora guy who keeps popping up in my memories? In my dreams, rather. His connection to Sora and why he can wield the Keyblade. He starts questioning that and the organization's motives. Diz, Namine, and Riku remove Sora from Castle Oblivion. They take the pods with Goofy, Donald, and Sora in it, move them to another location, secret from the organization, so the organization won't know where Sora, Donald, and Goofy now are. It's the manor in Twilight Town. At this point, Shion is confronted by Riku in the Beast's castle. He calls her a fake. He kind of awakens in her what she already thought about herself, that she isn't meant to wield the Keyblade. She just can. Doesn't mean she should. So she goes back to the organization's HQ and she discovers files on her telling her who she really is and what she is. Turns out she, like the Riku replica, is a replica of, not really Sora, she's an incomplete replica of Sora, but essentially just his memories and nothing else. The memories that they've been dicking about with. She's a backup for if Sora and Roxas don't work. They basically just need someone to wield a Keyblade any way they can, because none of them can wield a Keyblade. So they're trying as much as they can to wield a Keyblade to gather hearts, to create Kingdom Hearts. For the other 12 members, it's so they can become real people. For Xemnas, it's for a different, more nefarious purpose. Her appearance is somehow caused by the strength of Sora's memories of Kairi, even though Namine had tried to manipulate them. Shion looks the way she does because of Sora's memories of Kairi. That's what helped him cling to his memories, was he loved Kairi so much. But she begins to falter and fade and look more like Sora. Everybody else can see Sora. The only people who can't is Roxas. She gets really upset, obviously, and she abandons the organization. As she goes off to become a real person, and she starts getting stronger, which means Roxas starts getting weaker. So the organization are like, right, we need her back. She's a valuable asset, monetary-wise, because, you know, she's the replica. We don't really care if you bring her back alive or not. So they send out Xigbar and Axel, the company assassin, and they fight her in Wonderland. Just before fighting, her hood falls down, and Xigbar sees someone who looks like Roxas that isn't Roxas or Shion. It's someone from Xigbar's past. After Shion is recaptured by Axel, she confronts Roxas, and she is clearly resembling Sora now. Her face is not that of Shion when she first arrived, the kind of black-haired Kairi. She now looks like Sora. And she is trying to get Roxas to kill her, because she knows that they can't both live. Because when one gets strong, the other gets weak. So she gets Roxas to attack her by attacking him. She thinks that Roxas will full-on disappear if she remains alive. She's doing it to sacrifice herself for him.
This fight takes place over several phases, during which Shion transforms into a Keyblade armor set that clearly resembles Sora. Each phase is set in a different world featured in the game, and each phase comes with a different power set inspired by another boss. Interestingly, the first and final phases don't share appearances with a boss from their featured world, but the second and third phases do. Phase 1, Wonderland. This phase appears to be inspired by Xemnas' various phases, though he's not this world's boss. Phase 2, Halloween Town. This phase is directly inspired by one of the world's bosses, the Chimera. Phase 3, Agrabah. This phase is directly inspired by one of the world's bosses, Kurt Seiser. Phase 4, Twilight Town. This phase is directly inspired by Sora's appearance, though he's not this world's boss.
He kicks her ass, eventually. It's like, he doesn't want to, but she won't leave him alone. She begins to fade, and as she's fading, Roxas' strength is returning to him. Even though he was weak, he was still able to defeat her because he is a genuine Keyblade wielder. She fades. She's like this beautiful crystal things coming off her. It's really sad. It awakens something in Roxas. The person Xigbar saw. It awakens him inside Roxas, so Roxas can now dual wield Keyblades. And this person is the reason why Roxas looks the way he does, because he looks exactly like this person, just dresses a bit different. The reason why they could get 3 Keyblade wielders out of Sora was Sora, who's nobody, and the person who was living inside Sora the whole time. See where it starts getting convoluted. Enraged at the organization, Roxas decides to leave for good, but he is confronted by Riku, who was sent to retrieve Roxas by Diz. Remember Diz? Diz was like, Riku, I need you to go and get Roxas. It's finally time for him to come back to Sora. It's almost been a year now. Sora needs to wake the fuck up. Roxas kicks his ass, so having no other choice, in order to beat Roxas, finally get him home to wake up his buddy Sora, who he loves so much, Riku gives into the darkness and lets Ansem take over, unlocking his ability to use dark powers, changing his appearance to Ansem's possession. So he now looks like Ansem. He attacks Roxas with this massive dark blast that sends Roxas flying, just so he can take him back to Diz, just so he can bring him back to Sora. It's so sad. It's like it flits. He does know he's Riku on the inside. He's having to fight for that. Ansem is now the forefront. Even though real Ansem is dead, this is the shade that was living inside Riku that whole time. He takes up Ansem's name. He returns to Diz with Roxas, and they put him into a special coma inside a fake digital Twilight Town in order to make him forget his time with the organization and prepare him to eventually join with Sora. And that's when you get the first day at the start of Kingdom Hearts 2. This is where 358 finishes. Sora's still in his coma from the end of Chain of Memories. It's been a whole year almost. That last week that Roxas spends as being Roxas, that's where 358 over 2 days ends. Kingdom Hearts 2.5 begins. I just want to posit this quick before we start this. The reason why I'm doing 0.5s instead of like Kingdom Hearts 1, then Kingdom Hearts 1.5, then Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2.5, is because the final mixes are what makes it the 0.5. They're just adding a bunch of lore in, but they intersperse it throughout. It's not like it's like you get the story of Kingdom Hearts 1 and then 0.5 is added on at the end. It's drips and drabs throughout the entire game, updated when they released the 0.5 versions. So, Kingdom Hearts 2.5. Sora is still asleep, and we open with the end of 358, where it said the first day. We begin playing a week as Roxas, because our main boy, Sora, is still asleep. Roxas hasn't rejoined with him yet. It explains how he's still dreaming about Sora as he was in 358, but he now thinks he's just an ordinary boy, because of the virtual Twilight Town that Diz stuck him in. The story starts with his last few days of his summer vacation in this virtual Twilight Town. He and his friends, they're trying to finish the homework assignment as the summer is coming to an end. See, it's so ordinary now. He's with kids that he had seen running around the real Twilight Town, non-virtual real life, when he was still in the organization. He saw some kids running past, just doing kid shit, just being teenagers. Diz put him in this virtual Twilight Town and gave him those friends, which is actually kind of sweet. Diz is set up as a really heartless character, really soulless, I mean. He's actually kind of a nice guy. So he gave Roxas some friends, Pence, Olette, and Haina. They realize something is wrong, straight off the bat. Some weird things have been happening in the town. Roxas has been accused of stealing everyone's photographs, but not just the photographs, the word photograph. So they're like, someone's stolen all our... They've stolen the word. I can't say... Why can't I say... And the amount of edits you've seen on YouTube of people editing in like... It's really funny. So they're trying to clear Roxas's name, and while they're doing that, eventually Roxas ends up fighting a bunch of these weird silver creatures who call him their liege. A dusk. He fights a bunch of dusks, which are nobodies. During this confrontation, Roxas calls upon the Keyblade. He summons his own Keyblade, and he's like, what? What is this thing? Magical sword, bap. Once he defeats the nobodies, they drop the photos that had been stolen, and the town can begin saying the word photos again. So they end up clearing their name, but nobody believes them, because when the nobodies arrive, they stopped time in this virtual reality. Just after this happens, Roxas, like literally as he's picking up the photos, he meets a man called Axel, who he does not remember, but Axel remembers him. He's basically in there to try and see if Roxas is still kicking about in his mind. Diz isn't allowing him in Axel is finding a way in. But shortly after, the gang decide to do their homework assignment on the 7 wonders of Twilight Town, which I like. There's a waterfall that makes it look like a version of you is coming out to get you, a ball that comes out the end of an alleyway even though nobody is down there to kick it, a moving bag on the top of a hill that just seems to wiggle and worm around on its own. They all have really easily explained things, like the bag that wriggles on top of the hill. Turns out there was just a dog in there. Probably went in to sniff some food and got stuck and was like, "Roof." Don't know why the bag never barked, but it wiggled a lot and people were like, "Ugh." The waterfall, making it look like someone was behind you. Turns out that's just your reflection. That's how reflections work. Roxas in this virtual reality has to actually fight the genuine wonders as they are. It just so happens that as he finishes, the people, his friends come up and are like, "Oh, so, you know, it was just a dog in a bag the whole time." No, not really. It's the nobodies trying to find ways to contact Roxas. The final wonder is the haunted mansion in the woods. And yes, you guessed it, it's the mansion where Sora is being held. Inside virtual Twilight Town is a mansion you can go inside to find the exit to the virtual Twilight Town, where you would appear in that room in the real Twilight Town if you manage to go out of the virtual reality simulator. He doesn't know that yet. He just finds a creepy mansion. And apparently the urban legend is that it's haunted. There is a girl standing at the window. Roxas sees the girl, it's Namine. And that is what's really going on in the real Twilight Town. But in this virtual reality, it's just the wind. Later on, Roxas goes back into the mansion. He finds Namine and he talks to her. And she tells him who she is. She tells him who he is. What they are, special nobodies. She breaks it down for him. She tells him, you gotta go back to Sora, dude. He's so important, which means you are important, but you have to go back to him. You are only important as part of Sora, basically. It's harsh, but it's true. Just for the same as when we find out who Namine's person is, because she is a nobody. Diz appears. He's telling Roxas it's time, you've got to go rejoin Sora now. Roxas reluctantly does it, ends his summer vacation, and wakes up Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Upon waking, they discover that the journal Jiminy kept of their previous adventure is blank, save for the words, "Thank Namine." That is a clue to what happened to them in Chain of Memories, but they don't remember. Because like Namine said in Chain of Memories, I can fix you, but you won't remember me. You won't remember the organization. You won't remember Castle Oblivion. But then the gang emerge from the manor in the real Twilight Town, and they meet the real Hayner, Pence, and Olette, who don't know who Roxas is. They are the real Hayner, Pence, and Olette, not the fake ones from virtual Twilight Town. But they kind of feel them. They kind of feel like they might know Sora. And Sora's like, well, I know you guys, you're Hayner, Pence, and Olette. Because he has Roxas's memories inside him, as well as his own. They eventually discover that Sora is holding items that are clones of their own items. If you bring something back from virtual Twilight Town, it becomes real. So Sora has Olette's money bag that she had lent Roxas earlier on in the game. He also has a little ball from the struggle trophy that they won, and they split each of these little gems on the struggle trophy, and they all had one. Sora and his 2 animal friends, as I've written here, must embark for the train at the station and head to the mysterious tower. So in real Twilight Town, there is one train that takes you to the other side of Twilight Town, and there's another train that takes you just out of town. And it stops at a place called the Mysterious Tower. It's a magic train that only shows up for magic people. Just in case you'll be like, oh, well then how do the ordinary people not know? It's a magic train. They go to the Mysterious Tower where they meet Pete, who, you know, the big bougie Pete. Oh, how do you do Pete's voice? Them's be fighting words. I'm Pete. Yar! Yar, I be Pete. I work for Maleficent now. And he is Maleficent's underling. Then they scare him off because obviously Donald and Goofy know he's bad news. Sora's like, who the f is this guy? Then they meet Master Yen Sid, which is Disney backwards. He is the guy who trained Merlin, Mickey. He is the magic OG, and I don't know why they didn't have Christopher Lee voice this guy, because he sounds pretty much like Christopher Lee's character. Oh, he's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. He's the sorcerer. Yeah, there you go. He's the sorcerer from Sorcerer's Apprentice. I always thought Sorcerer's Apprentice, the sorcerer was Merlin. In Kingdom Hearts, it's Yensid. I actually don't know if that's true. Hold on. Based on the poem of the same name by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and the musical piece by Paul Dukas, it stars Mickey Mouse. Yeah, it's the third and most famous segment in Disney's 1940 animated feature film Fantasia, and the only returning segment in its sequel, Fantasia 2000. Unlike most of the tracks in the film, which were recorded by the Philadelphia Orchestra, this composition... Oh, I don't need to know this. I need to know who the sorcerer is! Plot. At first, the scene starts with the sorcerer Yensid. Booyakasha! Sorry. So, the sorcerer from the Sorcerer's Apprentice is Master Yensid in the Mysterious Tower. He's the guy who trained Mickey and he's the guy who trained Merlin. You meet him. And the three fairies, Merryweather... It's a saying. Like, Beavis and Butthead. Or Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Merryweather, Flora and Fauna. Yes, I remember now. You meet the three fairies from Sleeping Beauty and Master Yensid, and they basically give them new duds, some sick new threads that are supposed to protect them from darkness, and Master Yensid basically says, you guys have to stop this. I've already sent Mickey out. You guys have to go and stop this organization. They're bad news. However, just after this, Maleficent's Raven brings Maleficent's cape into the room where the fairies had just put you on new duds. Don't know how Master Yensid wasn't present for this, but it brings her back. I'm just going to say now, in Kingdom Hearts 2.5, when you first play it, it felt like it was just how they brought Maleficent back. It is and it isn't. We find out all the way down the line in Union X why the Raven bringing the cape to Yensid's tower was so important, and it is. This is a titular moment, but we won't find out why it's so important, or why Maleficent herself is such an important character, until initially Birth by Sleep, and then later on, Union X. And it's the same with characters like Ventus and Marluxia. They are way bigger characters than it's yet pointed out to be. So anyway, this Raven completes something by bringing Maleficent's cape back to Yensid's tower in front of Merryweather, Flora and Fauna, the three fairies. They remember Maleficent, and there's even a line that says, "Oh no, I'm remembering her," and then it brings her back to life. So Sora and the gang have gone off now. Yensid sent them off to fight the organization. They don't know it's the organization because they've forgotten. They start seeing them more as they traverse the worlds. They're sealing keyholes again, but they're different now. They're not the keyholes to the worlds. They're like items that are important to that world, signify part of that world. I can't remember what they do, but there's multiple keyholes of these manners in each world now.
According to these Reddit users, they are opening links to connect each world. These are called the lanes between. The Eternal Wiki fandom confirms this, and even goes as far as to describe the manner of travel Keyblade wielders would use, such as gummy ships and Keyblade gliders.
Hollow Bastion is the new Traverse Town, because Traverse Town at this current juncture has gone back to being a sleeping world. It's not needed anymore. Everyone's moved to Hollow Bastion. I mean, the Final Fantasy characters would. It was their home. They go off defeating bad guys and stuff like that, reuniting with all their friends, meeting new friends from new worlds. Like, the worlds from Kingdom Hearts 2, right here. Lion King and shit. They discover who the organization are, and they begin to learn what the organization want. They want their own Kingdom Hearts. But during the events of the new Hollow Bastion, which we find out is actually called Radiant Garden, is what it was called before it became Hollow Bastion. Hollow Bastion implies it is a safe haven, but it isn't all the way through. It's a Hollow Bastion. What it used to be called, even though it's still a bastion, what it used to be as a bastion was a Radiant Garden. It was where everybody would go if they were needing a bastion. It's not Hollow anymore. So basically, during the event... Do you need help finding a way out of my bedroom? because I'm trying to record something here, bud. Alright, thanks. I got visited by a friend. There's a little moth. Don't eat that! You can chill on it, but don't eat it.
Rude.
They're probably like, oh, I love this place, there's so much to eat in here, look at all these clothes, look at all these bed covers and pillows and teddies, yay! During the events of playing through the new Hollow Bastion, they learn, because they come across a painting in this castle. The Radiant Garden people have reclaimed the castle that was like at the front of their village. It's where the original organization, before it became Organization 13, before it got corrupted and became bad, is where they originally were. They find a framed painting of Ansem, the bad guy Ansem. They find out that he's actually the Heartless of a man called Xehanort, who was working under the real Ansem. Xehanort is the main bad guy of the entire franchise. Something happens to him where he forgets who he is, and he works in the organization when it's still good, under a man called Ansem the Wise, who is the real Ansem. The painting they find isn't of the real Ansem, it's of Xehanort when he was younger, but young Xehanort looks like the bad Ansem they fought a year ago, the Heartless Ansem. I'll explain it properly in the next parts of the video, but I just thought it's easier to get that out of the way now. So, the real Ansem, Ansem the Wise, was the head of the old organization before Xehanort got in there and f***ed everything up. And that's who Mickey is searching for. Ansem the Wise, real Ansem. They learn that Xemnas is the same man who Ansem the bad guy came from. He is Xehanort's nobody. Xemnas is Ansem with an X. Xehanort is who they really were, but he went by the name Ansem. He stole Ansem the Wise's name. Towards the end of the game, they journey to the world that never was through a portal in Twilight Town's mansion. Thanks to Axel having a change of heart, he sacrifices himself in a massive... What? That's how big it was. It reached through the game, through time, and got me. Now, present day. Whoa.
Crazy.
Anyway, he has a massive fire explosion that wipes out this whole tunnel that connects the world that never was to the real Twilight Town's mansion. He sacrifices himself in a massive blaze of fire and wipes out all these nobodies just so the gang could reach the world that never was, where he had placed Kairi. And he reveals to Sora that he did it for Roxas. He loved Roxas as a brother. Sora, now in the world that never was, blacks out when they get to the foot of a skyscraper in the world that never was, and he has an internal battle with Roxas. Roxas is like, why are you the one in charge? I should be the one in charge. I'm taking over the body. And Sora's like, hey, buddy, look, I just want my memories. Who are you? I remember you, but I'm not sure who you are. They come to terms with each other through this battle. Sora and Roxas are finally joined together again. And this gives Sora, this unlocks his true potential. This unlocks his final form. Well, no, it gives him a Keyblade that lets him unlock his final form, but because of this, he can unlock his final form and channel himself, Roxas, and the third person living in his heart. There's technically, like, 5 people living in his heart, but this other person is the reason why Roxas is the way Roxas is. They fight through the nobodies, they get into the castle, they finally reunite because Riku has rescued Kairi from being kidnapped, and they're just standing about in the castle. Oh no, it's not Riku who frees Kairi, it's Naminé. Naminé freed Kairi, but Riku was there to pick her up. But Riku doesn't look like Riku, he looks like Ansem. And Kairi's like, nah, that's Riku. Riku saved me. And Sora walks in, and he's like, ah, it's Ansem! And then Kairi's like, go hug him, close your eyes. Don't look with your eyes, look with your heart. And Sora's like, holy f***, that's Riku. They have a really emotional reunion, but Riku doesn't really say anything, because he's scary Ansem at the moment. They all celebrate, but they have to fight their way to the top of the tower to fight Xemnas. Kairi gets a Keyblade. She manifests a Keyblade, so they all fight their way to the top of the tower to face Xemnas, who has revealed that his secret plan was to use Kingdom Hearts to reshape the universe. It was never about giving these nobodies hearts. He just sees these nobodies he's gathered. The organization who original Xehanort infiltrated, he just sees them as tools to his own agenda. He doesn't give a f about if they have hearts or not. Meanwhile, there's a really long drawn out scene where basically it reveals to us Diz was Ansem the Wise. The guy who had trained the original organization, trained Xehanort when he was going by the name Ansem, and that the reason why Xehanort and Ansem the Wise fell out is because Ansem the Wise wouldn't let Xehanort explore the darkness in people's hearts. He wouldn't let him explore Nobodies and Heartless. So he did it anyway. He was so ashamed he ran away and became this guy called Diz. Diz and Mickey Mouse are using an encoder to try and prevent Kingdom Hearts from completely turning the hearts into Kingdom Hearts. Encoder explodes, killing Diz, and wipes Riku clean. The blast just for some reason resets Riku. They go to the top of the tower and they finally battle Xemnas, and then Naminé opens a portal from inside Kairi. She was Kairi's nobody the whole time. And she and Roxas have a little ghosty nobody reunion moment, then everyone heads through. Apart from Riku and Sora, who get trapped there, and then it turns out Xemnas isn't dead, so they have to fight Xemnas as a giant dragon, and then Xemnas in his Keyblade armor atop the dragon.
Not to be confused with No Name, a secret Xemnas boss battle in Birth by Sleep, who vaguely resembles Xehanort's Keyblade armor.
And then they fight the dragon again, and then they fight him in this really cool white and black coat, and then eventually they defeat him one last time, and they enter this kind of limbo realm that ends up taking them to the realm of darkness, where they find the beach that is so prolific to the franchise. A bottle washes up on shore that has the letter in it that starts with, "Thinking of you wherever you are." Kairi had forgotten the boys she used to play with on Destiny Island. Then she couldn't quite escape this feeling that she didn't forget them. So she writes a letter in a bottle. This is before, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 actually starts. She writes a letter in a bottle and she sends it from the island, Destiny Islands, that connects to their town. That ocean is connected to the ocean from the Dark Margin, and it washes up on shore, and Sora reads that letter. Using Sora's, like, hope, opens a door back to the realm of light in front of them, in the water. Riku and Sora jump through there, and they end up back at Destiny Islands with Kairi and Mickey. They spend their time together for like a day on this island until a letter arrives from Master Yen Sid, telling them that they all must immediately head for Yen Sid's tower. Kairi, King Mickey, Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Riku. That's Kingdom Hearts 2.5.
Thank you everybody so much for joining me as we explore the intriguing stories of the Kingdom Hearts franchise together. I have been your friendly neighborhood Pooderoo, and I hope you've had as much of a blast with this series as I did with making it. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye bye!